Well, friends, welcome. Hope you're having a great day. Come at you from this nice little beach I found. Having a bit of a wander during my winter retreat. I wanted to take this chance to discuss with everybody a topic that's sort of plagued my mind for a bit, and it's how anxiety has become sort of the normal de facto matter of being in our society. And maybe some of you don't know what I'm talking about, but it may ring really true for some of the others. Something that I've noticed in the younger students that I deal with, as well as young adults. And I think it's a mixture of societal factors, cultural influences, and technology that seems to have contributed to anxiety becoming the norm. First, what is anxiety then? It's feeling of unease, worry, or a fear that arises when you perceive a threat or some sort of stressful situation. It's a very normal and natural human response. And it is designed to keep us safe, and it is designed to keep us alert. But anxiety has become more than that with most people. It's become persistent, and it's beginning to interfere with most people's daily lives, and it's become something more than a mechanism for survival. Everybody experiences anxiety very differently. Some may experience racing thoughts, constant worry, or even physical symptoms. It could be rapid heartbeats or sweats. Others might struggle with social anxiety, making it difficult to engage with others in social situations or leaving their comfort zones. There's a big difference between normal anxiety and chronic anxiety, though. Normal anxiety is a temporary state that arises in response to very specific situations, and that's what has kept a lot of humans alive, and that comes along with fear. And when we used to be cavemen, we needed it to survive. Nowadays, anxiety is more associated with situations like job interviews or fear of public speaking. But chronic anxiety is something that's a bit more persistent, or is excessive in its worry or the fear, and it extends way beyond specific triggers that will be relevant to most people. And it usually impacts everybody in their personal relationships, professional pursuits, or just being able to live a content and happy life. And as a disorder, is something that affects millions of people out there. And I just don't think it's being discussed enough, that people still think it's taboo to discuss mental health issues. And to shed light on this is to try and dismantle some of the stigma around us, and hopefully create a community that we can be more empathetic in. Anxiety isn't something that you should be ashamed of. It's a part of normal human experience, but we are losing the ability to actually cope with it and experience it in a healthy way. If you've been alive for the last few years, I'm sure you've noticed that our society as a whole has undergone very profound changes. And I don't think people understand sort of the impact that it has on everybody's well-being. And one of them is rise of social media. Instagram, TikTok, even Facebook, even though apparently it's only old people like me who use it, has transformed the way people communicate. Well, yeah, they're awesome in that you create new opportunities for connections and self-expression. It's also created new ways for people to mess everything up. Yeah, okay, come on, Seagull. Everybody experiences these curated images and idealized versions of each other's lives. And for a lot of people it triggers some feeling of inadequacy, or it begins to fuel the comparison culture that we are experiencing in full swing now. Not to mention our society as a whole puts immense pressure on individuals to constantly achieve and succeed. And in this pursuit of perfection becoming the norm, there's very little room for people to be vulnerable and be authentic selves. And because of the cycle of curated image exposure, idealized versions of lives that we see, as well as this cycle of striving for unattainable standards and fearing failure to live as perfectly as possible, we create room for anxiety to brew and become more than just a temporary state of being. It's important to recognize that what we see on social media, and I really do mean this with the younger audience who never really experienced life before social media, that it only represents a very small fraction of someone else's life. It's carefully selected, and some people will have big teams of hundreds, well, okay, maybe not hundreds, but tens of people following them around and carefully selecting and picking and filtering to create that polished image. And yet, we look at these and we start questioning our worth as an individual by comparing ourselves. And this perpetuates the cycle of anxiety. This constant connectivity has become the norm, and with it comes a never-ending stream of information, notification, social interactions. This constant bombardment leads to information overload and sense of always being on. And this creates another thing, fear of missing out, or FOMO. It's become so prevalent in our aspects of digital lives. In fact, it has become so normalized, TV shows are parodying the idea of FOMO and making fun of it. We scroll through social media feeds, witness each other's seemingly amazing experiences, and it leaves us feeling inadequate or that we're not doing enough with our lives. I speak as someone who has observed a lot of younger people growing up in the social media era, and social media is something that has incredibly profound impact on people's self-esteem, body image. Seeing those curated images and filtered representation of beauty and unrealistic standards of success, and this comparison of ourselves to these images just breeds self-doubt and fuels anxiety. And a lot of these influencers that is how they make a living. They want to keep you in a state of anxiety because it makes you want to come back to them for a feeling of validation and sense of worth. But then that's going to create more anxiety for you. That's something that has come from within. It's crucial that we recognize the influence of technology on our mental well-being and take positive steps and, find balance and regain some control over our digital lives. And remember that even these people with their perfect lives, everybody has their struggles and insecurities. This is something that we have to break free from, this culture of comparison, this culture of FOMO, and start breeding a different culture of acceptance and embracing our imperfections, and understand that being on an individual journey is nothing to be ashamed about. A lot of these influencers that you see as someone who's successful, I will admit they have worked very hard. And, well, I'll put it this way, my dad used to explain to me that I can't compare myself to him because he's lived a lot longer life than I ever have, and I ever will. And that means it's obvious that a kid can't compare themselves to their father, who has their own house, own life, own family, own car. But then how is it that we compare ourselves to other people and bring on this feeling of inadequacy? In this culture of high expectations and self-care has to become paramount. You need to take time to nurture your mental and emotional well-being, and that's what's going to be crucial in managing your anxiety. And really, it's not as complicated as everybody seems to make it out to be. You need to take time for yourself. Just log off of social media, practice mindfulness, go interact with people in person, and if none of those work, go and seek some professional help. There's no shame in this. One of the things that you can do is redefine your definition of success. Our worth as individuals extends far beyond what other people see you as. It's not the external validation or your social validation that defines who you should be or who you are, but rather it should be yourself who validates your worth as a human being. Something that you could also do is starting to set, and I mentioned this a little bit just a minute ago, is setting healthy boundaries with technology. Something that many fail to do despite really recognizing it as something necessary. You could be just try going a single day without going on your phone. See how you feel. You'll realize that you're easily addicted to several aspects of technology. But the constant stream of information does not promote a sense of being calm. And being dependent on something means that you no longer have control over yourself. So, who truly is in control of your life, my friend? Is it you? Or is it your phone? Maybe it is a bit ironic that I'm recording this on my phone as I'm speaking about this. But technology has easily become an addiction for most of us. We just don't recognize it, and we must replace this addiction with activities that are meaningful. Or rather, this addiction to technology is the replacement for the meaningful activities in your life. Go on an adventure. Go find a new hobby. Experience life. It's these offline activities and meaningful connections that will bring you back to really living. Engage in hobbies, spend quality time with your loved ones, and practice some mindfulness. Go spend some time alone with your thoughts and organize them, and let the ones that are not healthy to you just pass by. And I do understand that technology is a very powerful tool that we all employ now, but just like any tool, we have to be conscious about how we use it. A knife can be used to cut bread as well as stab someone, and it's the same with technology. And to take control of our digital lives and using technology as a tool for connection and growth rather than a source of addiction is something that we can do to help this normalized form of anxiety that has grown in our society. And then there's the pressure to succeed and achieve and constantly seek external validation in our life, not even with technology but outside of it as well. And it is a culture that we have bred as humans to seek external validation, to measure our self-worth as a human being based on the achievements that we have made. This relentless pursuit of success, it just creates a fear of failure. And for some even creates a fear of success. They don't want to be successful because they think the next thing is going to be more difficult. Next thing is going to be more demanding. They don't want that. And isn't it okay to not want it? Isn't it okay to seek validation, and the only true achievement that you've made in life is to conquer yourself? But most of us worry about not meeting societal expectations. We worry about disappointing other people, or even falling short of our own aspirations that we've made because they were aspirations that other people told us that we had to make. Like, go to university, go get a job, go work on XYZ company, become a lawyer, become a doctor, so on. But this creates fear, and fear can be paralyzing. It can create a cycle of anxiety again, and this perpetuates. Yes, I am wearing fuzzy pants. Without access to social media, And then we create this environment where fear becomes, no, failure becomes unacceptable. And we fail to recognize that failure is just normal part of life, and that other people judge you based on their own insecurities and their perspectives. Our perception of failure and to our perception of being judged is what we actually fear, rather than the fear of failure itself. Furthermore, we need to embrace being vulnerable and taking calculated risks. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, pursuing your passion and expressing your true self requires a lot of courage, but leads to personal growth and fulfillment like you've never experienced before. I can promise you that. Go out and experience something new. Take risks. Enjoy every moment of your life. And don't fear that you're gonna be bad at something. I think Jake from Adventure Time said it best. Dude, sucking at something is the first step at being good at something. And to help with this journey, we surround ourselves with supportive and understanding community. Go to clubs and meet like-minded people who appreciate the journey that we are on and encourages us to be free of fear of judgment and create a very safe space for growth. And to challenge this societal need for external validation and to embrace self-compassion and forming the supportive community, we can break free from fear of failure and judgment that perpetuates a lot of anxiety in everybody's lives. Stress is another part of really an ever-present companion in our modern life. And living in this fast-paced world, we juggle a lot of responsibilities. We face work-related pressures, school-related pressures, the expectations that your partners put on you, your parents may put on you, your friends put on you, even you put on yourself. These kind of high expectations can take a heavy toll on our mental and emotional well-being, and this lead of constant pursuit of success often leads to burnout and anxiety. And with the recent, last few years of lockdowns and whatnot, the boundaries between work and personal life has become very blurred. And with technology, we're very constantly connected and expected to be available and productive all the time. And this constant demand is again going to fuel our anxiety. So this social media and our strive to be perfect and our us looking for external validation all leads to a constant fear of are we good enough, really? And this perpetuates the cycle of anxiety, creating a whole generation of people now where anxiety is just a de facto state for them. And something that we can do to help ourselves is to prioritize some self-care. Engage in exercise, meditation, going for nature walks. Something that you can do to not be in a constant state of reminder being near technology or other feelings that create feelings of inadequacy. And of course you should be seeking professional help if it's something that you feel that you need. It's not a sign of weakness. It is hard to find the right one that works for you, but just think of it as an investment for a longer, healthier and happier life. And lastly, create some boundaries. And that means to create boundaries and creating them so that you can prioritize on your well-being rather than others' well-being. And creating boundaries between you and technology. And this will help you build resilience to help you navigate anxiety and overcome the challenges that life throws at you. This anxiety, having been a social norm, I hope makes sense for you and that you see where I am coming from. To have created this culture of inadequacy and fear-driven idea of progress that we have to be perfect and to be on all the time, to be always connected. It's not healthy. Go and experience the things that anxiety has held you back for. It's a very complex issue, I understand, but it's something I felt was important to discuss. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about normalization of anxiety in today's modern society. It's a topic that's been floating in my head for a very long time, and I just wanted to share with everybody. If you have anything to add, like I'm a crappy presenter, yeah, I know. I'll get better. I don't care. I'm still gonna put this out there. And maybe I'll come back to this later and redo it when I feel like I've become a better person to be delivering this topic again. But I'd love to hear it. Leave me a comment. If you enjoyed what I had to say, please subscribe. like the video, whatever you want to do. And I do really hope that you have a wonderful day, and hopefully this is the last YouTube video that you binge watch, and afterwards you go take your dog out for a walk, or just go outside and take in some fresh air, disconnect from your phone, and feel good about yourself. Take care. Cheers.